Welcome to the Life of Phys Podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Martin, and on this episode I have Darrell Peacock. Darrell is a New York City native real-life portrait photographer currently based in West Hollywood, California, and he captures authentic portraits of strangers. Darrell and I talk creativity, mental health, and how he gets his subjects to be so comfortable in his images. Now let's hear a word from our podcast partner and get to the show. The Life of Phys Podcast is lit by HoboLight. HoboLight is on a mission to empower creators to elevate their creativity with lighting kits made to last and built to inspire. These lights are bold, beautiful, and powerful because HoboLight believes that your lights deserve to be seen. To learn more, follow them on Instagram at HoboLite.
What's up, everyone? Name is Darrell Peacock. I am based in Los Angeles, California right now. Originally from New York City, Queens to be exact. That's home base. But yeah, based out in LA now, and I'm real life portrait. Everything else flows under that. But that's the main focus.
So that's what drew me to your work is, I mean, I just found you recently. I found your work. I think I might have followed you on Instagram a while ago. But lately just the look of the portraits, how natural and how real they look. They're not staged. Those people are comfortable with you, man. What's your process?
Yeah. To be honest, just being authentic and being personal, giving, respecting space, especially when it's women, but just in general, because most of the portraits that I've been putting up recently are people that I just met in that moment. They all of them were street portraits, or we just out. But there's a few people I know them already, and it was just a moment like, oh, the light looks good here, or I saw something, come back real quick. But most of them is people I see something, I walk by, I'm watching. I'm a people watcher, so that's my thing. And it's something about you just catches my eye, and I want to first compliment you on that. What it's your hair, it's your glasses. I like your style, and then spark a conversation. Introduce myself for sure, so they know me, and just spark a conversation. Tell them what I do, show them what I've done. I think that also has worked too, because I would ask for photos before and never show people anything, and they would say yes, but it was still like some hesitation on their part. But the moment I started saying, "Hey, can I make a portrait of you?" and then like, "Hey, let me show you what I've done. Here's some of the photos I've taken recently," and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. I like those. Let's get to it." And now maybe that's why you see that comfort level in them, like, oh, I see your work. I can trust you because you show me work that I like or love, whatever how they feel about it. But it's like I can trust you. I can trust you with making an image of me. And for me, the whole purpose behind it is really to be a mirror, like reflect. I'm a big believer in faith and in God and everything. So for me, it's like I want to show you what God sees. If and not saying I know exactly what it is, but I want to look. I want the photos to feel like, I want you to see your photos and be like, wow, either I love it, thank you, or like, wow, I don't even see myself this way, or I didn't expect this from it. This is like the best photo I ever had, or nobody's ever taken a photo for me, period. There's a lot of people, most people do what? iPhones now, right? Selfies. So there's people who I meet and they're like, yo, I really never had like a professional picture taken of me. This is amazing. I appreciate it. The next step is to start printing it out and getting it to them. I get them digital copies so they can post it or share it, whatever it is. But I want to actually make things tangible. I love that process. I want you to be able to put it on your wall, give it to your mother, give it to your grandmother, whatever it is, and they can put it on their wall, the fridge. But that's where I'm at with it right now.
And when you make things tangible, that's a lifetime of that image. That image will be somebody's touchable product for as long as they have it. And that's something that a lot of people forget about. They forget about that tangible feel, whether it's a book, whether it's a print, they forget about that aspect of it. And the fact that you give them a print and a digital copy, that's incredible.
Yeah. I gotta be more consistent. I've been slacking on the print. I gotta create a workload, because this has been going on for the past few months, consistently doing this. So I have a lot of photos, and I just haven't like stopped and said, okay, there's a 15. Let me print these 15 out real quick. Now I feel like I'm backloaded, so I need to create like a process. Like, all right, every week, whatever I got for that week, I'm going to print those out, and then start fresh the next week.
Yeah, get caught up. That's similar to what I'm dealing with the podcast right now. Just trying to get caught up and make things happen. So what started your journey to becoming a photographer? Like your creative journey?
I will say, I felt like I was always into something creative, something with my hands. In high school, I played sports growing up, but I always had a knack for art. Like, I want to say I was the best student in school, but there were certain classes where the teachers could be like, yo, you really are. I know you like this because I know you in other spaces. I know you like basketball because you really dedicated to basketball, but science was like, whatever, I'm going to do whatever I got to do. But I had an art teacher who noticed, like, I think we was doing like, which I think it shows in my work when I do street. Anyway, I can't even think of it right now, but leading lines. I don't know why I can't think about it. But yeah, leading lines. We was drawing like streets. And she's like, even though we onto another project, you keep coming back. Like, you'll finish the project, but then you go in the back and you just drawing leading lines. Like, that's all I kept doing, leading lines. And she's like, okay, cool. You're into this. Let's. She just started giving me little projects on the side just to keep me engaged in that. But then now, I thought about this a while ago. I see it when I do street. I was very intentional about it without even knowing that I was like focusing on using that to draw the attention to the whoever views my work. But what got me into photography, I was doing iPhone photography. What's that? 2014, 2015, just for fun. And my wife, well, girlfriend at the time, but my wife, she took a film class in school, and she had a film camera. She had a digital camera. Once the class was over, it just was sitting around. And I don't know, I just picked it up one day and just was messing around with it and haven't put a camera down since then. So, like, if it wasn't for her, I don't know if I would have picked it up on my own. And I won't even, it wasn't like she forced, like she was like, hey, you should. It was just being in the same space and seeing the camera. I think I always had a knack for it. I could always go back to when I worked at a camp or when I was in high school. I was the person with the disposable cameras, bringing it out. It's a senior trip, or we just hanging out. I'm taking pictures, get it developed, have it print, giving the prints to people like, hey, I took these pictures, but not thinking anything of it, just for fun. So I guess that's what led that was like the seed. That was the first seed. The iPhone was the second seed. And then actually picking up the camera that she had laying around, it just sparked something. And I like I said, I never put it down since then. And it's just been growing.
Yeah, it's amazing when you find that little thing that just sets you off in a different path than what you thought you were going after.
I thought I was gonna be a basketball coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're a photographer.
Yeah. Now I'm doing photography. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. It really changed my life. It's hard. I ain't gonna lie, being a freelancer. It ain't easy, but I sleep well.
That's good.
I'm more at peace, compared to I had the job making the good money, corporate level, growing, but it was like I was only there for the check, and I could tell I was only there for the check. And now some months you're like, man, maybe I should go back to that job. But when you, in the grand scheme, really think about it, I'm at more peace than I ever been just dealing with photography.
It's definitely an extension of you. I was talking with Josh A. Katz not long ago,
Okay.
and he's the same. He's in LA there. He's a freelancer, and he was telling me about just taking an opportunity. So he met Killer Mike in a hot dog stand, and he said he walked up to him and asked if it was Killer Mike. He's like, "Yeah, man, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, my wife's over there hiding because she's a huge fan." And he goes, "Hey, I'm a photographer, man. Sometime if you got some free minutes, I can come and take a photo of you." He's like, yeah, let's do it. And that's just, taking that chance. So similar to what you're doing on the street every time you go up and ask somebody.
Yeah.
So it's a task. I've thought about it when people walk by. I'm like, oh, this is the one. And then I watch them walk by.
You gotta just go for it. I mean, at the end of the day, what's the worst that's gonna happen? They say no, right? But I'm learning more times than not. People say yes, especially today's day and age where people are on social platforms. They are used to images, whether it's photos or videos. They're just used to seeing images. So they may be a little shocked, like, why you want to take a photo of me? What do you want to do? You can explain all that stuff. But once you break that threshold and that comfort level, they're 9 times out of 10, it's a yes. And I've been surprised that it's been, the hit rate has been that consistent. There's a no every once in a while, and it's like, oh man, I don't even know how to react to this because I'm so used to somebody saying yes. But most of the time it's yes. You just gotta go for it. As long as you got good intentions, I think people feel it.
Yeah, if you're authentic, man, and it comes across.
Yeah.
And so you're shooting full time. That's your gig.
That is my gig. So contracted with my church, One LA, out here in West Hollywood. So I lead one of the departments in the production, more so the capture, the photography and social media capture. And then I freelance. I pick up a few gigs here and there, trying to lock something in right now. That's been the process, like how long it takes to actually come to, especially once you start working with like corporate companies. It's a back and forth negotiation, and sometimes like I just want to take photos, like that's all I want to do. But when you got a family, you got to be smart about it. Make sure you're making the right decisions and asking for what you deserve. But that's been for the past 6 months now. That's been my life.
That's amazing, man. I'm going to put you in contact with Josh. I'm going to send you his info, and I'm going to send your info to him. He may help get your foot in the door on some productions, some movie stuff.
Appreciate that.
No worries. He actually he just shot with Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart last week. It's pretty sick. I was
doing another show or a commercial, probably.
He wouldn't tell me. He couldn't. He's under an NDA right now. Yeah. But
that's dope.
Yeah, NDAs are something I just had to learn about. So because I'm doing with Hobolite, I get to see all the new stuff. So I got the NDA, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but it says don't talk about it, so I'm not talking about it. Have you ever seen one? Have you ever seen the actual lights in real life?
Not in real life. So I saw you and Devin Allen. He's one of the ambassadors now too.
Yeah, he's like an idol of mine, and I've reached out to him so many times. I'm like, please, if you've got an hour, your journey is going to be so inspiring to people, and I want to hear it. So maybe one day.
His work is His work is really good. And this, like you said, the story. It was. I know people have been fighting like, oh, you're not. That whole word is self-taught, but it wasn't. He didn't go to school for it. He didn't have a mentor who took him under the wings. It was pick up the camera and figure it out. And I love how he explains it too. And my father's side is from Baltimore, so I know how it is out there. And he was talking about it. He's like, there's no photographers. Like, it's not like not even my professors or my school teachers were photographers. It's just not a thing in my city. So to even say it out loud, I know he used to say, like, saying it out loud to himself or to his friends, it didn't make sense. And I feel like that maybe this is very similar to me, and that's probably why I didn't take it serious when I was doing this disposable cameras or anything else, because until you're exposed to it, for me growing up, I saw images all the time, but I didn't know who the photographer was. I didn't personally know a photographer myself, outside of, my parents have like an event at a catering hall, and the catering hall has a photographer. But even then, you just like it, you're not really paying attention to it. It's not a way of life where I was at growing up. So to see it now is beautiful. How exposed people are to the process of photography. But I think everything that I went through in life was meant to happen to get me to this point.
Yeah, pretty much everything in our journey. They're all speed bumps, right? They're all speed bumps to get us to that level. They're all there to teach us. And, if you stick to your guns and your values, everything comes around. So
yeah,
he's a huge inspiration. I love it. And I just want to hear more of his story.
Yeah.
So that's, it's super cool. Like if you get a chance, put your hands on one.
Yeah.
Just watch Corinne when she starts really posting about new people getting product, and when she does, reach out to her. Because you've got work that is amazing. Your story is good, and she is good people. So
okay. And I was saying I like how it's portable, easy to carry around, easy to set up. Yeah. The stuff I saw people doing, like set it, like even Devin Allen, he had it set up on the street, right on his sidewalk.
Yep.
And then, but he showed the photos first, and then he showed the setup, and you wouldn't think that came from that little box. I'm gonna keep my eye on it. You got me thinking. You already got me thinking. Like the mini do a little pop flash with these street portraits. Yeah.
Like Devin Allen on the street, right? Like out on the street with this is such a cool thought process, and not always just in the hands of those big influencers. Like you see a lot of product, right? A lot of times us on the way up, the guys who are actually, nose to the grindstone and hustling, we don't get these opportunities.
Nope.
But Hobolite is changing that. When I reached out to Hobolite, I had 2 episodes out and like 400 followers. And she said, I don't care about the followers. I care about the sound, your commitment, and where you're headed.
Yeah. Well, now that's good, because it, like you said, most of it is you got to have the following count. They don't even care about the content that you're putting out. That is, you just got 1 million followers.
Yeah. I got turned down by, and they turned me down, and I was like, they're like, oh, you don't have a follower count. And I'm like, that's not what I'm about. Did you not read anything I wrote? Yeah, I'm about building a space for creators to share their story and their journey, inspire others to never quit and keep moving. Sounds like the kind of, I feel like that's the kind of people. Oh, they will. I have so much faith in this man. I had pro skateboarder Steve Caballero on, And growing up, I was always I went to a Catholic school, always in church, learning about the Bible and everything. Lost my way a little bit when I was 15, 16 years old. Did some stuff I'm not proud of. And then he came back, and I've always been spiritual, but he came back and told me that at 47 years old, he found God and his life has changed. And just the way he worded it, and it was like, I've always had him looking over me. He knows I believe, but I just don't practice. And I know that all the speed bumps and all the pain and stuff I've gone through and the trauma I've dealt with as a child, as much as I would never wish it on anybody, it was done to prove to myself that I'm strong enough to never quit and I can build anything I put my mind to.
Yeah. He's just waiting for you.
Yep, exactly. And eventually it'll get there.
Right now, my goal is consistency. Right. For some people, consistency is boring. It's redundant. But we look at all the great photographers, and you're like, man, you've done this. You did this. This is 50 years worth of work. This is 60 years worth of work. You know what I mean? You're not seeing every single photo he took, but you're seeing from the start to when they finish or when they pass, and you just see consistency in the images. Like, you can make an image no matter what scene, what space, where you at. Can you make an image? Can you make an image? So my goal for this year is just consistency. Like, I want to be able to, when people look at my page by the end of the year, right now the social media, when I get I'm doing my website over, you're going to see consistency. You're going to be able to say, yo, I know I can call him for my shoot or whatever it is I'm trying to do, because from start to finish, like, yo, these are all portraits, all beautiful portraits of different people in different settings, and they all look good. And that's the goal for me. Like, yo, every single shot looks good.
When I see people who don't put the time in, they don't put, they're just thrown into a situation and you see it on their face, the scared. They're like, I have no idea what to do. That's like telling Michael Jordan not to shoot free throws or not to go out and practice. Just stay at home. It's all good. You have to put time into the craft to make it work.
And Kobe talks about it the best, how I'm going to get up 5 a.m. in the morning. Kobe worked out 6 times a day compared to most people working out twice.
Yeah. Maybe 3
times. And he said, explain it. All right, if I do 6 times a day for 1 year, think about how far ahead I'm gonna be towards you and your game. Now let's multiply that by 5 years, 10 years. He said by year 10, nobody could keep up with me. And it's, not being arrogant, but it's like, yo, if I'm gonna outwork you, and like you said, people it sucks to see people get on this into a space that they fighting to get to, but they are not prepared for it. And the real goal shouldn't be to get to the stage or the space or whatever it is. The goal should just be, all right, did I improve from yesterday? Am I better? Did I take one step in a new direction from yesterday? Did I get better at one thing from yesterday? And then over time, he's like, all right, look at that. When you look back, you can see it. There's another person who said something like, Will Smith, he talked about when you don't think about building a wall, just lay the brick down, one brick at a time. And then eventually you look up and like, oh, snap, there's the wall.
Yep.
And
the 10,000 hour motto takes 10,000 hours to master anything.
Yeah.
And like you said, the more consistent you are in going out in every weather and lighting condition, the easier it is to produce the images you want to produce.
Yeah.
So I feel that's amazing. That's exactly what people need to hear. So that's exactly what this whole platform is about, It's about giving people that glimpse into what you believe is what's going to work for you, because everybody's belief is a little bit different, what they need to do to achieve the goal. But I think in the grand scheme of things, everybody listens to the episodes and they come away with something.
That's good.
So
you can learn in any space and from everywhere. So it may not be, I think I'm doing good at not only watching videos on photography now. Because there's areas, even people talking about sports or politics, whatever it is, just I might not learn. This might not be a skill, help me for my skill type, but it might help me mentally, which eventually is going to help with the skill set.
Yep.
Now you can learn, you can get advice and wisdom in so many different places.
There's always someone that can inspire you no matter what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you can always get that inspiration. Another big aspect of me in this podcast is allowing people to talk about things like their mental health, how creativity helps keep them, you know, leveled, or advice, because everybody gets down. Everybody has good days. We have bad days. We're just human. So going to that whole mental health, creativity, do you do anything to keep your mental health on point?
For me, first thing is prayer. I have my worship moment, listening to worship songs. And having a family and being a creative, I have to be intentional with personal time. So for me, I'm a morning person. So maybe 5 to 6 days out the week, there's always that one day where I allow myself to sleep to maybe 7 or 8. But usually I get up at 4 a.m. and then that's my routine. That's me in prayer. That's me meditating. That's me listening to music. That's me editing photos. Looking up inspiration. Just making that time for me, because I feel like, especially moving out here, I got so consumed with want to make sure my wife is good, want to make sure my daughter's good, want to make sure everybody else is good, and I lost myself. So I definitely advise people, especially men, because we sometimes, especially when we have a family, we could be so focused on protecting and providing for them that we forget about ourselves. And unfortunately, sometimes society teaches you that. Like, it is all about your wife. It is all about the kids. It is all about the family. But they can't get the best of you if you don't give yourself the best of you. You know what I mean? So it sounds selfish, but to be honest, you got to take care of you first.
I do the same. 5 a.m. I'm up. 5 a.m. Coffee's brewing behind me. I'm editing a podcast. I'm planning. I'm checking profiles. I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to reach out to. I've officially closed all bookings till September, because I'm pretty much lined up every weekend till September.
Okay.
With episodes I can release. So I'm actually taking July and August off to spend some more time with my kids and my grandkids. So,
yeah,
you know, I have 6 kids and 2 grandkids, so I'm always busy.
Nice.
It's crazy, but it's such a good crazy. But the same thing, man. You forget about yourself. You forget that you're a human being too. You need that time for yourself to make sure you're improving. Since I started this podcast, a lot of my anxiety and my depression that I suffer from trauma has gone away, because I'm talking to people, and people are sharing stories about their own. But the more we communicate as men, because growing up, we're always told it's not that bad. Just suck it up. You know?
Yeah, suck it up. Bottle it up. Men don't cry.
Yeah. And when I realized how much of a crock that actually was, my life got so much better. You know, I'm you harass my wife or my kids, the other side's coming out. But, when it comes to dealing with people in a real life situation, you go in with humility now and you learn so much from that. You don't go aggressive. You don't have those issues. You go in with humility and you listen and you learn a little of their story, and that goes a long way.
Yeah. I feel like I've been priding myself on being Clark Kent and not Superman. Growing up, it was the mindset of I gotta be Superman, gotta be Superman. And it's like, nah, I need to be Clark Kent. I need to be able to express my emotions. I need to be able to feel. I need to be able to be honest and say, yo, I need a moment.
Yep. That's a great analogy.
It's hard to get there because what we were taught, especially like you said, we were taught to bottle everything in, suck it up, it'll be okay, which is secretly telling you to be Superman. Like, be strong. All the time, be strong. And with growing up and maturing and actually talking to people and reaching out to people who actually been in similar situations and they got through, and it's like, nah, real strength is being able to be emotional, being able to express your feelings, being able to tell the truth, like, yo, I'm not in a good space. And a lot of times, I think Jim Carrey said it, but like anxiety, there is things, there's trauma, there's medical issues that can lead to and cause it. But I feel like some of the times, not all the times, it's us not being our true self. Right? You're trying to be what they think you need to be. And sometimes your body's just like, no, man, just let it go. I need to let it go. Or they do say you can't heal until you speak. Your body won't heal until you actually speak it out. And what are we taught to? Hold it in, right? Be strong. So mentally, we've been holding things in for years. And then, like you said, this podcast, the fact that you're speaking with other people, you're expressing your feelings, you're listening to people express their feelings, it's a healing process that we were denied for so many years.
That's so true.
And I think men are starting to realize, like, nah, this feels good. It felt good to talk about whatever it is. Even it don't even have to be like something heavy. It could just be something simple, like, yo, to be honest, I just had a bad day, but I need to tell somebody I just had a bad day. I just wasn't feeling it today. Usually it's, I'm not feeling it, but I'm not gonna let nobody know. And that little domino starts to pile on to something else, and then something else, and then something else, and then you blow up. You lose it.
And what we need people to realize is, especially men, young boys growing up, is that it's okay not to be okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to speak our feelings. This gentleman right here who wrote this book, his name's James Rice. Okay. This is his mother. His mother was murdered when he was 9 years old in his house by an ex-boyfriend. He didn't pick up a camera. His mother was a photographer, gave him photography. Yeah. He didn't pick up a camera for 40 years. And he finally went into therapy because his whole family told him not to talk about the shooting. That's why the book's called Shooting. And he went into therapy, and the therapist asked him the simple question, what did your mother give you? Or what did she leave you? And he had to think about it, and he said, photography. And he's like, oh, so you're a photographer? And he's like, no, I haven't picked up a camera for 40 years. And he said, you should go pick up a camera. So he went and picked up a camera. And the funniest part of this and that little story is he writes in this book here. I met him for the first time yesterday. I just interviewed him yesterday. He sent me the book to read it. Amazing story. But in his book, he uses the words, photography heals your soul. And that's exactly what FICE stands for. Those are the words that are on the decals. Those are the words that are going to be on the clothing. And this is a guy that I just met for the very first time. We both had similar traumatic pasts, and how we both realized when we picked up the camera, not only were we sharing a creative vision that we both felt our whole lives, we were healing ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we came together and we spoke about how we were healing ourselves, and we shared our stories. And it's rewarding for me because, I grew up with that whole, hey, I think I have a concussion, coach. And the coach was like, get back on the field. You're fine.
Yeah.
And now 22 major concussions later, I'm lucky to be walking and not drooling.
Yeah.
I really want to build a community of people where we continuously talk about how it's okay to not be okay. That's the end goal for me, is to just provide a platform and a space where they can hear stories, they can share stories, and there's going to be people around that be like, yeah, man, whatever you need someone to talk to, I'm here. Because so many times we're alone, and you can't talk to your best friend. Your best friend doesn't want to hear it half the time. We need to change that, because that stigma is not doing us any good.
It's crazy. Well, one, it's crazy how that lined up. That photography heals your soul. But I went through depression moving out here, and maybe I can't fully say I stopped taking pictures, but you can see there was a huge gap in between every time I would go out to take pictures. Instead of I'm out every day or every other day, it was like once a month. And I couldn't figure out why, but it goes back to being in a new space, and I was trying to be Superman instead of like telling the truth. People like, yo, how do you feel about LA? Oh man, it's cool, it's amazing, it's good. You like it there? Yeah, we're figuring it out. But truth be told, it's like, no, I don't like it. And it was, not wanting to tell my wife because I didn't want to put pressure on her to try to, because I know her. Like, oh, if you don't like something, she's going to try to figure out how to make the space good for you. And it's like, I didn't really want you to go through that. I didn't want my daughter to see it because I want my daughter to find, figure out her space in LA. But at first, it's like, I don't like it. And nothing against LA, but it's just the total opposite of what I know. So it was hard to adjust to it as a person who doesn't mind change, but doesn't really, at that moment, I really don't seek it. Like, I don't seek it until I can tell when it's like, oh no, this things need to change. But I've never been a person that's like, oh, I just want to try something new. And at that time, when we moved out here, it was one of those, she just wanted to try something new. I wasn't in the space of like, oh, yo, we need to change the scenery. So it was a battle. Like, my heart was still in New York. My feet was here, and I'm trying to move on, but I couldn't. And for maybe the first year and a half, I was struggling with photography until I got into the church. And then I started serving and shooting there, and I was shooting every week. And then every week turned into, hey, we need something during the week. Can you come help us this? Then we set up photo walks with a few people from the team. Then I started meeting other people. Then it became once I got back into shooting and fully agreed with living in LA, like, hey, I live here now. This is the life I'm gonna go with. It picked up, and to be honest, the result is the portrait. So before that, I was still making work, but I was making work and I was sharing it, and it was good. It was cool. But this is the first time I felt like in a long time that what I'm producing is an extension of me without me forcing it. It's just like, no, like I'm feeding myself. I'm being honest with myself. I'm being true to myself. And here's the result of me stepping into that space.
and you can see it. You can follow the line.
Yeah.
And then you can start seeing the more recent when you're 100% accepting where you are. I mean, any change is hard, especially moving coast from one coast to the other. But you're definitely on your way.
Yeah, man. It took, I had to surrender the process. Like, in prayer, all right, God, if I'm supposed to be in LA, because I've been trying to move back to New York and it wasn't working. So if I'm supposed to be in LA, this is where it's supposed to be, and I'm going to do photography, what do you want? Like, what am I supposed to do? And like I was telling you before we started, I had 2 nights in a row after having that prayer and that conversation of dreams of me taking portraits. And most people would probably be like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. But at the time, I didn't want to take portraits. I only wanted to do street photography. I think that was why it was so hard to leave New York. It's like, nah, I'm in the space, I'm in the city, in the space that I need to be in for what I want to do. I'm not seeing that here. So I didn't really want to do portraits. I just wanted to do street. I just wanted to print out whatever work I made, try to sell some prints, try to exhibit, try to make books. That's all I really wanted to do. And it was just like 2 nights in a row, me taking portraits, and not just taking portraits, but like engaging with people, having conversation. So when I finally came to an agreement with it, and like, all right, I'm gonna make portraits. I went out one time with my friend. We was downtown LA, and this guy came up to me and actually, like, we was in, I think, Grand Central, yeah, and he's like, "Oh, what are you taking pictures of?" And I'm like, "Oh, the way the light is coming through the windows and it's reflecting on the seats, the color looks good." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I see it." Then I was just like, "Do you mind if I get a portrait of you? I like the details of your tattoos and everything." And that sparked something. And we went the rest of the day walking around, and I just, hey, run into people. Hey, yo, I like your look. I like your glasses. I like this. And ever since then, it was like, oh, this is what I need to be doing. So now it's just like, all right, let's be consistent. Every weekend, maybe sometime during the week, get out and just meet people. Even if it's two portraits a day, or I have a great day and it's like, yo, I just racked up like 15, 16 portraits of people. It's just meeting people, engaging with them, taking these portraits of them, and using it as like a reminder of like, yo, this is who you really are in the world. And this is how God sees you. Hey, you are beautiful. Hey, even being comfortable enough to tell a man like, yo, I like your look. I wanna take a photograph. I want to make a photograph of this. I want to be able to, I want you or family, whoever it is, to be able to have an image of you that, like you said before, that can last throughout generations. And I'm hoping long term that I can continue that process and be part of some type of change, whatever comes out of it. I hope I could be part of it. But it's all about people. I love photography, and I always will do photography. But the closer I've gotten with God and grown in my faith since being out here and like coming back to the church, and it's all about the people. That's the foundation of all my work now.
And being able to speak directly to people in a way that they're comfortable to, I'm sure some of them share stories with you, and the natural reaction or interaction we have. If you speak to someone and they're comfortable, they'll share. Yeah. And that helps lead them into being comfortable with your images.
This is going to turn into, I'm definitely doing the exhibition. I'm a long-term process person. Like, I'm seeing, I see, and that's part of my struggle too. I see the book, I see the exhibition, but you have to be real with yourself. Like, no, I'm not there yet though. But I'm gonna keep going. Like, how do I keep going? How do I see it here in my head, but then really open my eyes and be like, all right, I'm not there yet. but be confident enough to, like, if I just keep taking a stab at it, that eventually I'm gonna look up and be like, oh, it's time. But the goal is a book, not just to have a book per se, but I love leaving people with tangible stuff. I want you to be able to feel it. I want to create a space, an exhibition where you could come in, and I said it to you earlier. I take with all my images, I want it to be an open sentence, a comma at the end, not a period. So I'm gonna create what I see, but I want to leave it out there and have you experience it in your own way. I think that's why I got away from, like, leaving long captions or text so much, because I don't want you to read into the photo and be like, oh, okay, that's what he was doing. I see it now. I want you to just look and be like, yo, this is the feeling I'm getting from it. And be like, oh, that's interesting. This is what I was actually feeling. And somebody else would come and be like, well, I see this. I'm like, oh, that's great. Conversation starts. Now let's engage. How, real honestly, just like, what do you feel? Does this give you joy? Does it give you peace? Is it exciting? You said it earlier that, like, the calmness in their eyes. To be honest, I didn't think about it. I could see the openness in the images after I, taking them, I'm editing them, but I didn't think about, like, how calm they are in their eyes. And it's interesting you said that, because I don't want to talk about it yet, but the title is something similar. The long-term project, the title is something similar with that. So it was kind of like confirmation.
And man, like I was telling you, when I invite people to come on and share their story, I invite them because, one, I see something in their work that hits me and lets me know that, man, they got a story to tell. And when I look at your Instagram and you follow it, you can see the stages you've went through to where you are.
Yeah.
It's remember that old game, Snakes and Ladder?
Yeah.
You climbed up the ladders. Yeah. That's what it's like. You're climbing the ladder on your profile. And as you get closer to the top, you're like, oh, look at this. This person's way more comfortable. So that means your approach is you've got your approach down. So then, the next one, there's something about that, wow, okay. And then you continue on. And that stuff inspires me. So I like to have people on that I'm inspired by. And you're one of the first profiles I go to almost every day to see if you've posted something new, because your work inspires me. And that's why I reached out to you.
Appreciate that.
So let's get the fun question over. What do you shoot with?
Now at the moment, Canon R. Shoot with a Canon R. Nice. And a 51.8.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That 51.8 is magic by itself right there. That's such a good focal length, and Canon always has had that 1.8 nailed.
Yeah. I was a Nikon guy for life. Nikon film cameras, digital cameras. The one medium format film camera I had, I was 100% sold on it because they use Nikon glass. It was just like the mentality, like, oh, anything Nikon, I'm good. I don't want to hear nothing. And I'm kind of wired away when everybody around me back in New York and even back here in LA use Canon. So when I'm wired like, oh, if everybody's going that way, I'm gonna go right. Everybody's going left, I'm gonna go right. Not, I just want to be different, but just like, I don't know, something about me just like, I'm gonna try this. But the church uses Canon products. So I started using it, and there'd be days, the first time I used it, it was like, oh, this is cool. And I literally was like, I'm going to bring my Nikon next week. Is that okay? And he's like, yeah, as long as you get the shots. I'm like, cool. But then after a while, I was like, I'm keep playing around with the camera. And then I think I did a photo shoot one time, and it was supposed to be in black and white. That was the whole concept. Long-term project, just black and white portrait. And I saw the color that came out of it in RAW, and it was just like, oh no, this is different. I was willing to jump because it was a feeling, not just like, yo, you need to shoot can and trust me. It was like, no, I physically see the work that I could get from this. The color, like the way I can expose the color. It was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a shot. And then I had a friend who, honestly, he's like, yo, I just like your work, man. He goes to the church and he's like, I like your work, I like your art. I want to keep seeing you do stuff. He had me use this R5 for one service, New Year's Eve. It was amazing. And then he came back to me like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later. It's like, yo, I don't really use the R. Here you go. And I've been rocking with it since.
The R is one, that's amazing that he was like, hey, man, I love what you do. Here you go. I'm going to help you continue to do what you do. I know what you mean, though. If you shoot portrait with a Canon, there's something about that color file when I shot Canon, so I shot a 5D Mark IV and I had a 1D Mark IV. There's something about that file that is just so easy to manipulate. But I'm true Fuji. I've left it 4 times and come back 4 times, so I've decided I need to stay at Fuji. My daughter has the R5 with the 85-1.2.
Okay.
That's her go-to work setup.
And what I used the R that night, I had the R5 with the 28-70, but one is massive. But outside of that, I was like, yeah, like he asked me, he's like, so how do you, outside, the files were so large, I had to like delete stuff on Lightroom to make room. Compared to what I had a Nikon I had a D4. So the files were so large, so my Lightroom kept crashing. So I had to like move stuff, like back stuff up. That killed me. But he was like, how was it? I was like, yo, editing was a breeze. And I was like, if y'all look at my set, normally 75% of it is in black and white, and then there's a few color here and there. And it was the total opposite. It was like 90% in color. And then those one moments where I'm like, oh, nah, this really needs to be in black and white. And I converted it to black and white. And that was like a light bulb, like, yo, this will expand your work. This is another level you're about to go to. And like the way you said it, like, hey, if you look through your page, you can see the different levels I'm at, or different spaces I was in. You go a few months before, you literally see black and white. You don't see nothing else, right? Black and white street, black and white portraits, black and white events, whatever it is black and white. And now it's really like color. Let me just throw this in there, because I still love black and white. But let me throw it in there. But it's color. Give me a little bit of color. Yeah. And then even who's been inspiring me with color work is this guy, Darrell. He shoots, he's always traveling, but the way his colors are on black skin is just amazing. And that's where I'm trying to get to now. I feel like what I've been doing lately, it looks really good. I'm proud of it, but I know there's still another level to get to.
You have the one image with the young lady wearing the square glasses and the bright necklace and the big hair.
Yeah.
And she has that smile on her face, and it's like it's a nervous smile, but with the eyes closed behind the glasses, it's like this blissful moment.
Yeah.
And the way you color graded it and the way you edited, that's like my favorite image that I've looked at so far. I mean, that you're onto something right there with that edit.
Thank you. And seeing, so when you do art as a photographer or whatever art form you do, you're not doing it for people, but you do pay attention the way people react to certain things, right? And the reaction has been different with the portraits now. And I feel like people are reacting the way I'm seeing them react when how do I say. So when I want to have an exhibition and I'm visualizing it, I feel like people have been reacting that way. The way I want you to walk into space, see my work on the wall, and just have this like awe moment. Not because, not really me. I don't really want you to do anything for me. I want you to see the work and just be like, yo, I love her. I love him. I love whatever it is that like the way it's framed, proposed, the color. But that image you was talking about and the one with the girl who had the black child ring on, those are my two favorites from the most recent. And again, with both girls, the first girl, the one you was talking about, I saw her out the corner of my eye talking to somebody, and I just turned around, just looked at her, and just like, I love it. And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, all of it. I love it. The necklace, the earrings, the glasses, the hair. I love it. And she just like, oh, thank you. And I was like, please, can I make a portrait of you? And that's what I got out of it. Like, she was just like, go for it. The other girl, I saw her online, and I think it was the colors in her jacket that matched the shades. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let me make something of this. But then, we started talking. I pulled up close, and I was like, oh, can you, put your hand on your face? And she's like, are you cool? I got this ring. And I was like, no, let's do it. Like, I love it. Like, be proud of who you are. And the moment I said that, she went into she started posing. And that's what I'm noticing too. The moment it starts with a friendly engagement, compliment, and being honest with them and telling showing them hey, I love your jacket. I love your shades. I love your look. I love your hair. They start to turn on okay, cool. What do you need? I can say one thing and then they just turn into all these other, they just start flowing and I'm just following. And I love that part of it. I don't have to completely direct everybody on every single shot. It may be the first, second one, and then after that, they comfortable. So to me, I think that's why you see this calmness in the photos, because it's a collaboration. It's not just me trying to take a photo for my personal self. I try to be mindful of the words I use. Instead of take is make, instead of I, can we. So there's a partnership in this, and this is the result I've been getting. I'm proud of it, and I wanna see what comes out of it, where it goes. I want to travel with it, with that in mind. Hey, I'm gonna go to New Orleans for a weekend or a week. I've been doing this. I'm gonna go back to this photo festival in Selma at the end of the year, and I got some portraits from there last time I was there, but I want to do it with this mindset now. And actually, I might spend the whole week out there. The photo festival is for the weekend, but I might spend the whole week and I want to engage with the people. I don't know. I didn't know where this came from. I love people. And I think the stuff I went through as a kid and then a young adult got me to a space where I was like, I don't trust people. I don't trust people. I don't trust people. But the truth is, I think if I really look back, I was always a people person, and not a people pleaser, but just I love engaging in conversations and getting along with people, talking about things. Even if we don't agree, let's just have a conversation. And I think it's all coming full circle. But now the tool I use is the camera. So this is the result.
I like that. I've always would love to see maybe some more representation of smaller towns.
Yeah.
Because I think smaller town people, they carry a different aura to them. So that'd just be something cool. Dude, I see you light up when you start thinking about things like what you could do with one of those micros. So if I can do anything to help that happen, I'm going to. Do you have any advice you want to give to, say, some younger people coming up and they're getting flustered by the whole social media like and follow issue that we've all dealt with?
You, yeah. Just it's cliche, but you have to be true to you, right? You have to stick. You have first of all, don't share with the mindset of who's gonna like it. Just share. Just you get you. I know it's social media and that's part of the purpose of it, but I feel like I got to a point where just like I don't care. I stopped doing. You try to do carousels. You try to make sure you have 10 photos because if when people slide, then it shows that people's interested, so more people gonna look at it. And you get to a point, it's like this some. I had get to a point where there's some images was like, if I put in a carousel, it just gets lost. Like I just want this to sit on my grid. Like I'm more focused on the grid and how the grid looks than the likes. And you just gotta get to the point, it's like, this is what I like and this is what I'm gonna put out. And people who are meant to find it will find it. The community will get behind it that's meant to get behind it. Again, is as an artist, your job is only to create what you see, what you feel, what you heard. You can't control nothing else after that. So once you become comfortable with that, you'll let the whole mindset of likes go, and that's when you start getting likes because you're being true to yourself. So the more the more you true to you, the more the universe will reward you for being true. It can't reward. It can't reward. How one of my pastors say, like, God can't send you what you're supposed to get if you're being somebody else. You have to be you. So just let your work fly in due time. Whether and be real with yourself. If you're doing it for likes, then maybe you need to take a moment and like reevaluate what your purpose is. If it's no, I really love what I do, take a moment there too to remind yourself, no, this is what I love to do, and just go for it. The people that's supposed to find you will find you. I think definitely don't take it too personal if people don't like it, because it's opinion based. That's especially you're a photographer, any type of art, videographer, painter, sculpture, drawing. It's opinion based. I know we're sensitive to it because when you're truly doing art, you're doing it from within you. So that's a piece of you you're giving to the world. So when people don't respond a certain way, of course it may hurt, but I'm supposed to just give it, not really try to hoard it or control how it's being seen. I'm just supposed to express. And the more you get out, the more you get out, the more you can put out. Because you fall into that trap of like, oh, nobody likes my stuff, I'm gonna keep it to myself. And then you lose that creative. It's a flow. You can't keep it in. So just like your own stuff. Love your own stuff, and everything else will flow from there.
Any final words here?
I mean, first thing, thank you. Appreciate this.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man.
Appreciate the opportunity just to speak. It's a testament to being true to self and accepting what I feel like I was supposed to be doing and surrendering to it. Because you just talk about likes, right? I can see not even like likes, oh my God, it's spiked. I'm getting 10,000 likes. It ain't that. But you can see the consistency and the difference with likes and comments. The moment I said, okay, if this is what I'm supposed to do, I'm gonna fully do it. I'm committed to this. And not just like, oh, I'm just gonna, anybody, you can be like, oh, I'm supposed to take portraits. Oh, snap, boom. Yeah, I took portraits. You know what I mean? Just throw it out there. Like, look, I'm doing it. But it's like, no, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this to best of my ability. I'm gonna do it with love, and then I'm gonna just let it flow. And I literally, in that time, you reached out to me. Somebody else, somebody else reached out to me last week wanting to do an interview, and I'm not at this moment. I'm like, yo, I'm not looking for this. It was just really like, this is. I just want to get my stuff. I just want to show what I see because I'm excited about it. So if anything, if anybody can take anything from that, just be a. This is a testament to being true to yourself. When you're true to yourself, the right people will find you. The spaces you're supposed to be in will find you. You don't have to manipulate nothing. Don't chase it. Don't get caught up in my work needs to be in this space. I need to shoot for this company. I need to shoot this magazine. I need to shoot this celebrity. Because you start chasing things that maybe it is a vision that you keep receiving, but are you spiritually, mentally, physically ready for it? Just take it day by day. We're gonna go day by day, step by step, and whatever I'm supposed to do today, I'm gonna do today, and that result is gonna lead to whatever I feel like I see in my head that I'm supposed to be doing.
It's such a true thing when you find that avenue or that niche in your chosen creative outlook, and you just follow it and give yourself to it 100%. That's when everything happens.
Yep.
You know, I put this podcast was 2 years in the making. So for 2 years, I told myself I couldn't do it. What's the point? Nobody's going to listen. And then I recorded an episode and I sat on it with the upload button right on my screen for 7 hours. And I just looked at it. And I finally got mad at myself and I clicked it. And then as soon as I clicked it, I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
And I can tell anybody out there who, you know, you want to try something new and you're afraid that being criticized for things that you try to do is probably one of the worst things that can happen, especially if you're already nervous about what you're doing. I clicked that button and within 3 or 4 days, that first podcast was well over 100 listens. I had multiple emails with people telling me that this is great. You're giving a space for people to talk. And it's just grown from there. I mean, it's grown to having brand partners. Yeah. And we're still, we're 2 months in. It's allowed me to have a ton of new friends. You know, I'm very grateful. A lot of collaborations are happening. Just so much is happening just from being willing to step out of my comfort zone and jump in with 2 feet.
Yeah. Jump in fully, not tiptoe back and forth. Yeah. And it's crazy to see how fast, not always been this way, but when you are comfortable and step into something fully, how fast people react to it. Right? It's energy. I don't know what it is, but people can feel things. Like they can feel like, oh, he may be onto something, but something is missing. Or, yo, I see it. You know what I mean? Even if it's like something is missing, they're like, nah, I see it, but I see the intention. I see the love that's with it. I want to, let me check this out. Let me get behind it. People can feel when it's, I think we've seen so much fakeness over the past decade that people, they're not numb to it, but they can tell, like, yo, okay, nah, this ain't you just this is a gimmick for you. You're not serious about this. Or no, oh, you're really serious about it. You know what I mean? You're not at the mark that you're reaching for yet, but I can see that you got passion behind this. I want to get behind it. And when you really love something, you're crazily obsessed with it, and that makes people think it's great. Because it's like, oh man, if you might be onto something. You're really obsessing over this. Let me look into it. You know what I mean? And just be true. It's hard. It's crazy that it's hard to just be you.
Right. Being authentically yourself is one of the hardest things in the world to accomplish.
Because we're bombarded with so many images and marketing schemes and media telling us what you should be doing, what you should have, how much money you should have, what kind of job you should have, what life you should be living, what car you should drive, right? So I love hearing people who get to a point like, man, I was making $150,000 a year and I was miserable. And guess what? I got this job and I make $50,000 and I'm at peace. I'm loved. Oh, I was driving this type of car and then I downgraded to this because I realized it was dumb. I was only getting it to try to impress somebody. J. Cole talking about, I ride a bike. Like, J. Cole don't need to ride a bike. Even if he don't want to drive, he has enough money for somebody to show for him. And he's like, nah, I'd rather ride a bike. That bike, me riding a bike through the city gives me peace of mind. He like, that's real.
He found the formula.
Yeah.
Because he is somebody more people need to look at when it comes to having an amazing career, being financially set, but not letting it go to that flash, that glitz, right? The glitz and glam. There's photos of him everywhere riding his bike around. There's no security, no nothing. He lives in an average house. He just loves what he does and he shows, right?
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Where can people find you? Where's the best place?
Instagram or Threads at the moment. By Peacock, BYPEACOCK. I have a pixie set, but I really use that just to share the work professionally for any shoots I do. But I am working on a website through Squarespace, so that should be going up pretty soon. And yeah, keep Instagram and Threads is the best way to get in contact with me or to just follow along. Keep in touch, stay up to date.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the time today, coming on and sharing your journey and your story and your wisdom. We will definitely stay in contact.
For sure. We gotta exchange numbers so we can. Yeah, definitely stay in contact. And you're you right up the coast, which is another bucket list for me. I want to drive up the coast.
Nice. If you come up the coast, you mean right along the Oregon through by the ocean is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
Up through Washington, right? You can do pretty much coastline the whole way up.
I looked it up. I'm right off, and it's great. I didn't realize it'd go that far, but the 101 highway goes all the way up there, and I'm right off it. So it was like, okay, this. I know I said I want to do it. I'm super close to it. I don't know. I just need to plan it out. Of 2 weeks, 3 weeks, rent an RV or something, and just.
Dude, that's the life right there. Hitting all the small towns on the way up, capturing just moments.
My wife's gonna hate me when we old, when our daughter's out the house and she said, I already told her, like, we're gonna get an RV. We traveling.
Heck yeah.
We're gonna travel state to state. And she's like, what do you want to do? I was like, bucket list. I want to visit every city in the United States. I want to visit one city in every state. So at least 50 cities. And that might be a photo project right there.
That'd be a cool one.
But just like literally, the beautiful thing, I will say, living in LA is all compared to New York City, all the stuff outside of it that you could just drive to. You could drive north, you could drive west, see Malibu and Laguna. I could drive east and to Palm Springs and Joshua Tree and the rest of the desert. Big Sur. Like, it's all these stuff that I can just get in the car 2-3 hours and I'm in a whole different world, like visually. So that's something we've been talking about. Like, Yeah, we went back to New York a couple times. We've been back to New York like at least once a year since we moved there. And I told the family this last time. I was like, I love y'all. Y'all need to come out this way because it is expensive to keep going back to see y'all. And
Yeah.
told the family, we're going to start taking road trips. We're going to make our own. We got to start making our own memories out here. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. You don't know. LA might not be where we at for the rest of our lives. So at least if it's 5 years, 6 years, let's walk out of this, whatever time frame it is, let's just walk out of it with like memories. Not just things, like experiences and memories that we can like always look back.
If I can continue to grow and continue to offer a space where people feel comfortable to share their story, good, bad, and different, then I'm doing what I was meant to do. Because I truly feel in the last, I mean, it's been a month and a half or almost 2 months. I just released episode 15.
That's good. Right?
Yep.
So if you like, hey, I'm just gonna be the best I could be today. Whatever that is. And, you know, I'd be telling people, you don't have to be 100% every day. If you could wake up and say and be real with yourself, yo, I'm only 70% right now. But you give 70%, you gave your all. And people will appreciate that. Like, being a manager when I was in retail, I used to tell people, they'll come in and you can see it on them. I'm like, where you at today? They're like, yo, I'm like 50. I like, all right, give me 50%. I don't need you to, I don't put the pressure on like, oh, I need you to do more. It's like, nah, if you only got 50%, I want to get the 50% though. And we're good.
Yeah, give it all to me.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it shows you care. And people respond well to that. Like you ask me how I'm feeling and you really soaked it in and you responded from that space with love, not trying to force me to be more than what I am. Just like, okay, cool. A lot, you know, like people respond well to that. People forget that. So you said you Fujifilm, right? I'm shooting with Canon now. I'm Canon, Nikon. I ain't let Nikon officially go yet. But I know a lot of people who shoot Leica. And I know people who are great photographers, period, but they trace the camera system as a Leica, right?
Yeah.
But I give Leica this credit. Leica understands how to work with their people way better than
100%.
any other camera company. And I see it.
Yeah.
I see it. I have a friend of mine. He's about to do. They working on an exhibition. It's gonna be the end of May at the Leica store out here. Or even just him having that is gonna be dope. But even the New York store they opened up a new store in New York, and all the people that flew out there from around the country, around the world, and I'm watching it. I'm the person that watches it from the outside, and I'm like, at first I'm like, yo, yeah, obsessing over this thing. It's not that serious. You know, a friend let me use his Leica. I'm like, oh, this is cool, but whatever. It's not that serious. Like, to me, it's just like, it's not that serious. But now I'm like, oh, I see. It isn't the camera. It's that community. Like, you got friends around the world. And yes, you still have to be the one to initiate this friendship and keep it going. But to be honest, Leica they have a play in that. They create this space where all of the photographers can come together and connect. And they understand how to work with the people. And they understand marketing. It's not really the product, it's the people. If the people love your stuff and you engage with the people will market the product for you. If you try to push the product on people, it don't last long. You may get that first rush, but it don't last. But if you push people out there, they will push the product. And that's how it really should be.
They're a great brand. Their history is unbelievable. more camera brands need to look at how they treat the people and the history and the legacy that's been built. And, every camera brand can be great, but Leica does it right.
Yeah. I agree with you with the whole, I don't do the argument about this camera's better, this brand is better. Because honestly, it's a tool. It's really you. You are good, not the camera. Because you could take the best of every brand and put it in one camera, make this amazing camera, right? Give it to a person who doesn't know how to use the camera. It's trash. You take a trash camera. You take a consumer-based camera and put it in a person's hand who knows how to manipulate light, who understands all that, and you see the images and you will never know. You would never thought. I've seen stories and people who still shooting with Rebel TIs, and you look at the images, you're like, man, you lying. You ain't use that. But it's like, oh yeah, let me not. And even I have to catch myself, like, let me not discredit you using that, because it's like, by me saying that, I'm discrediting you. Like, no, you're an amazing photographer. I don't care what you use.
Yep. Thank you again. It's been amazing. A lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff for people to be influenced by. I look forward to seeing you grow.
Thank you.
I love the new direction. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Life of Phys Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our chat, and don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to bring you content and the stories of our incredible guests. And remember to stay connected with us on all social media platforms. It's at LIFE_OF_PHYS, and discover even more stories from the community over competition movement. Have a great day.